and welcome to another episode of Lexx Education, the comedy science podcast where comedian me, Laura Lexx, tries to learn science from her nerdy younger brother, Ron.
Hello, I'm Ron.
Hi, Ron.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm very tired.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've had a long week.
Burning the midnight oil?
Yeah, well, I did mock the week last week, and I was very happy to be on. I know, I'm so fancy. But as listeners to this podcast know, I'm not necessarily the most, aware person. So I have to do so much research to go on that show. And even I spend days reading, and then I sit there and somebody clever comes out with something. Oh, and did you know that John McGellamy has done this with this protocol? And I'm like, oh no. I just end up anyway. So yeah, I'm quite stressed from having done all of that and lots on, but happy.
I'm tired as well. I was sorry for not being here last week.
Oh yeah, Ron, you need to grovel at the listeners' feet, the feet of their ears, the earlobes. Grovel at their earlobes.
I won't do that, but I am sorry. I had a chest infection, so we didn't record, and then I neglected to tell Laura that I was going to be in Hamburg for the weekend.
Yeah, he literally, I got a text message from him going, oh, can you do intros, now? And I was like, not really, I'm out walking Mackie, but as soon as I get back we can. He was like, no, I'm leaving in an hour, and I've got to do an interview in that hour. So it was literally, can you do it in the next 3 minutes, or it can't be done? I was like, well, no, then. Go to Hamburg, you stupid loser.
I had a great time in Hamburg,
Yeah,
though.
I bet you fucking did. I was here slaving over a hot hat factory.
We got absolutely gumboed by Deutsche Bahn, though. The German railway company. So you might have seen in the news that Germany was doing these €9 tickets, and you could basically go all the way across the country. So me and my mate Shizzy, we planned this trip a couple of months ago, and we look at train prices and we're like, wow, that's super reasonable. this trip's not going to be that expensive at all. Yeah, they stopped doing the €9 tickets in between.
Oh,
we
you
did
didn't...
not get.
Why
Well, we
didn't
didn't get
you buy them
Interrail
ahead of time?
No, because they just stopped doing them. So we were just checking, we were like, oh, how much does it cost to get from A to B? We weren't necessarily searching for October, if that makes sense.
Ron.
Yeah. So
You're
that was
such a problem. Anyway, Listen, thank you so much for all of your hat photos. We've been very much enjoying seeing the hats out in the wild. It's been great. Thank you for ordering so many of them. I couldn't believe it. I set them live at 1 a.m. when the episode went out, and then sort of woke up in the morning and we'd sold over half of them already. We do have a couple of the baseball caps left, so if you're like, oh, I missed out, there's a couple left, not loads. There's 4 of one, I think, and 5 of the other, but you can still pop to my coffee page and get them.
Yep, no bobble hats though. Everyone else has to be cold.
You see, now I feel guilty because I did buy myself a bobble hat, so that I have got one.
That's fine.
But now I feel like I should put it on sale.
No, we'll do another run if.
Yeah, we need to,
more.
because I absolutely botched how much posting them was going to cost. So we've lost quite a lot of money.
Oh no!
But
we'll discuss this off air.
In a good way. Thank you also to Tom on Instagram, who messaged to say he loves the podcast, said it's the highlight of his week, which just makes us, you have no idea how much we love that. Thank you. And said that because they don't use iTunes, couldn't do a review, so have been spreading the word in other podcast fan groups to kind of get people, if you like this podcast, hey, try this new one. So we're so grateful for that. Thank you. And thank you to the people who've left new reviews. The numbers of Spotify reviews are creeping up, and so are the Apple reviews. And we're so grateful because it really is making a difference. We're seeing the increase in numbers, and it's really quite steady and up, isn't it? It's so exciting.
Yeah, and we need constant appraisal.
Not appraisal, because that could be negative, but approval. We do. We hope you like your lab rat as well. I just posted it. We're recording this on Friday. I just posted it live. So, yeah, Matthew Grant of Noise Next Door fame. I know there's a couple of Noise Next Door fans that listen to this. He did all of our illustrations for us. And I said, look, can we get an image to sum up the listenership in a small laboratory rat? And that's what he came up with. So that's you. Thank you very much.
What should we call the lab rat?
The lab rat?
Yeah, but we could call him like Bunsen or something.
Oh, I love that. Oh, Bunsen. Oh, my heart just broke.
Bunsen the lab rat.
Oh, yay. Oh, and we should add to the lab rats over the years.
We could sell the lab rats as NFTs and let the listeners like customize them and pay us bitcoins.
Yeah. Do you know I've got some cryptocurrency, Ron?
Oh no!
I don't really know what it is.
It's a 21st century fucking Ponzi scheme.
Yeah, I've got some.
Yeah.
The trouble is, though, I don't know how to get to it because it's just on the internet somewhere. It's in a wallet on the World Wide Web.
In London, they have Bitcoin ATMs.
Oh, I should go and get it out. But what do I put in? Just hello, I'm Laura. Can I have my Bitcoin?
You should have a wallet.
I don't have Bitcoin. I have near protocol.
I don't know.
No, neither do I. Anyway, listen, it's not important. We're doing atomic bonds today. Have fun, and we'll see you afterwards. All right. Hello, Ron.
Hello. Sorry, I was scratching my nose.
I'll do it again then. Hello, Ron.
Hello. I'm not scratching my nose.
Well, now I have to leave that weird first one in. Okay. 17th lesson today, Ron. Oh, what is up with you?
COVID.
Coughing and doing weird stuff. You haven't got COVID.
I had COVID.
Yeah, ages ago. Shut up. Are
you okay?
Yeah, sorry. I just got an email that was annoying. Let's just start this all again, shall we?
Okay.
Hello, Ron.
Hello. I'm not scratching my nose or checking my emails.
Oh, God. Let's just... Hello. 17th episode today. Chemistry?
It is chemistry, yeah.
All right.
Can you remember what we were doing in the last chemistry episode?
No, Ron, no. Why do we always have to start with a negative? Just assume I don't remember. Bondage.
Yeah, the different...
We were doing bondage.
Bonding, structure, and the property of matter is the wider thing that we're doing at the moment, and we're carrying on with that. Last time we went through different types of atomic bonds.
Yeah.
I think you got on quite well with it.
Yeah, I'm pretty smart about most things, though, so...
I think this is going to be an interesting episode because you're often saying stuff like, this is too small, why does any of this matter, who cares?
That does sound like me.
And I think this is going to be a good episode for kind of bridging the gap in between the small and things that actually affect your life.
All right, I'm intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
Although you did send me a picture earlier and called it Figure A, and I don't have a good history with the episodes that require figures.
No, you're dumb about graphs, but that's okay. This is not a graph; it's a picture.
Okay.
Do you know what the 3 states of matter are?
Ohio, Idaho, and Arkansas.
Hey, interesting selection. Not some of the big hitters, I think, when it comes to the US.
No, that's fair. Do you know what, actually, Ron? Weirdly, I was at TechnoQuest this weekend with my little nephew, and I didn't tell you about this at the time because I thought I'd do it as a surprise, but I recorded myself playing with some of the exhibits.
What on earth is TechnoQuest?
It's a science museum in Cardiff for children. But I recorded myself playing with some of the exhibits for questions, and I played with one about matter. So I think it's solid, liquid, and gas.
It is, yeah. Also the 3 things labelled in figure A that I sent you.
Oh, I didn't look at it. I didn't want to look at it too early and get cross too early.
No, fair enough. You're on your phone. Are you about to play something, or are you just scrolling around?
I was looking at the videos of me at TechnoQuest. And now I'm just deleting things. Do you want to see a really cute picture of producer nephew and dad?
Yes. That is cute.
Okay. So solid, liquid, and metal, gas. Solid, liquid, and gas.
Liquids and metals. Okay.
Solids, liquids, and metals.
How, in your head, what's the difference between these things?
Oh God, this is so stupid. One is solid, one is liquid, and one is gas. That's the difference. One's wet, one's hard, and one's not really a thing.
But in terms of like the structure of what's making it up,
scientists.
what do you think is... So let's take water as an example. What do you think is happening when water freezes?
It's cold.
That's an adjective, but what do you think is happening?
It's freezing. It's going all stiff.
Okay.
It's like rigor mortis for water. Rigor mortis.
All right, that's not a rich well for conversation. Let's move on.
Is it it's something to do with this does ring some bells from school days. It's like and also from being at TechnoQuest at the weekend where I played with a thing and learned about this. It's about applying energy to the molecules. So the more energy they have, the more moving about all the things that make the thing do. So if they've not got loads of energy, they're probably a solid. And then you give them more energy and they all start wiggling and they become a liquid because they move away from each other and just, whoa, get all jibbly. And then if you keep applying it, they get even further away and just bouncing around all over the place, and then they're a gas.
Kinda, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, see?
Yes.
You do know these things.
Thank you, TechnoQuest.
Okay, so, yeah, we're gonna discuss the different types of matter, and we're gonna use particle theory while we do it. A bit of terminology. Melting and freezing are obviously the opposite of each other, right? Mm-hmm. Same with boiling and condensation. That is the...
Right. Melting is opposites to freezing. And then boiling and condensing.
Yeah, they're the opposite of each other. So that means that the melting point of a substance is the same as the freezing point. They're the same temperature. And same with the boiling point and the condensation point.
What?
So the melting...
It melts and freezes at the same temperature?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
How can you do both at one temperature?
Well, if you think about it, 0 degrees is simultaneously the temperature that ice melts, but that water freezes.
Oh.
And then 100 degrees, same with steam.
Is ice really a thing then, or is it just frozen water?
Those things are not mutually exclusive. Yes to both.
Okay. Every day is a school day. Can you melt a rock? Yeah, lava.
Yeah.
Whoa.
You say
Okay.
something, I'll tell you if you can melt it.
You can melt everything?
Yeah.
Wood. You can't melt
You
wood.
could melt wood.
You can't melt
You
wood.
could.
No, you can't.
You could.
You can't melt wood.
If you had it in an oxygenless environment so it wouldn't burn, eventually it would melt.
Liquid wood?
Probably. It'd probably separate out into
No.
the different stuff it's made out of first. Because wood, there are no... I know that this is a point of contention, but wood is a substance that you know, but there is no, like, wood atom.
Yeah, wood isn't real. It's like fire.
Again, no. But
I put this in my list of things that aren't real. Anything that's not on the periodic table isn't real.
but then, you know, some of the...
It's just carbon, isn't it, wood?
Yeah. And you could melt carbon.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you can.
No. What's liquid carbon, then?
It's liquid carbon.
It doesn't have a name like water.
No.
Okay.
We could call it something if you want.
You can't melt wood, though!
I think theoretically you could.
Sound off in the comments
Yeah.
if you've ever melted some wood.
Anyway, so a solid is when all of these particles are...
Imagine that, just a tree melted.
Yeah, that's some Dali...
Like a Salvador Dali picture.
Stuff.
Whoa!
You can melt a clock.
Samesies. Yeah. Well, that's plastic, and plastic melts.
Sometimes it's metal. Anyway, that's boring. A solid is when all of the particles in a substance are packed in tightly together, okay?
Yep.
And when they're in that solid
as a
form,
rock.
they're going to form bonds with each other.
Yeah, like being in the army.
Yeah, or like when you're on a bus.
You don't form bonds with other passengers on a bus.
You might, if it's a school bus.
No. When you get on the bus, you already know everyone you should talk to on that bus. And if you start talking to people you don't know when you're on the bus, you're a creep. Stop it. So you get on the bus and you leave the bus with all the friends you were ever going to have on that bus. Is that pigeon at your house or my house?
My house.
That is so loud.
Yeah, I think it's well close to the window.
Hey, Belgian pigeon. Belgian and pigeon are similar words.
Right. Yes, so when they're in a solid, they're going to form bonds with each other. We covered some of these bonds last time. So
Ionic bonds.
Yep, remember the lattice? You didn't like that.
Ugh. Yeah.
Yep, and then metallic bonds. In some cases, covalent bonds as well are going to help you form a solid.
Yep.
We're going to run through the different types of solids in a bit more detail in a second. But
Okay.
there are also intermolecular forces that can...
Intermolecular forces.
I'm starting to see where Oliver got the I am a robot thing.
Intermolecular forces. I am an intermolecular force to be reckoned with.
What are you looking at? Are you on your phone again?
Yeah, because you're just doing the introduction bit, and there's nothing to talk about.
Put it
now
down.
For me. No, I'm
it down.
bored. I'm joining in. Intermolecular forces.
You're being disruptive.
I'm not being disruptive.
You are.
I'm agreeing with you.
Anyway,
Yes.
put your phone down.
Well, how can I look at figure A if I'm put my
Yes,
phone down?
never asked you to look at figure eight. Put your phone down, please.
Also, I could get it up on the WhatsApp web on my desktop. Have you sorted out your windows yet? Or are you still hot?
There, we got a fan thing.
The fan is just going to move hot air around
We
your
call
flat,
it Bruce.
Ron. Get the windows open.
It is open. Right
You need
now.
a through breeze. You need 2 windows open in your flat.
We do that sometimes for like 5 minutes at a time.
You should be able to do that all the time, Ron. You live in the future.
I know, but got this cat.
Just get a net for the window.
Can't just catch the cat in a net every time we want to open the
Just get like a
window.
real baggy net over the window that she can't jump through. Boom, Bob's your uncle.
Let's stop distracting me so that we don't talk about the subject. When you have a molecular substance, something like water,
What's molecular?
covalent bonds.
What's covalent bond?
The ones, it's when non-metals bind together.
Oh, the ones where the atoms get friendly, not charge. Hooking up, atoms linking up.
The electrons form pairs in between them and they share them.
That's it, not atoms, yeah.
Yeah, and they form the molecules that make, everything, a lot of stuff.
Yeah, carry on. I'll just stop asking questions.
Yeah, so when it's a molecular substance made of small molecules, there will be intermolecular forces that will keep them together when they freeze into a solid. Okay?
No, sorry, I sang over what you said. What was it? Molecular substances make intermolecular forces.
Yeah, between them when they freeze as they're solid. Because do you remember 10 minutes ago when I started this sentence, I was saying that when a solid is when the particles are packed in together and they'll form bonds with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And then when they're molecules, there will be intermolecular forces in between the different molecules. So they are not forming covalent bonds, the different molecules together, when they form a solid. There are different forces that are holding them together.
So, what is wood then? What's holding a wood together?
A wood will be a big collection of molecules.
But they're not covalent, even though they're non-metals bonded.
Yeah, it's molecules next to each other.
But not bonded.
Some of them will be. Some of them will be polymers that are going to be big, but not all of them.
Well, polymer meant plastic.
A lot of plastics are polymers, but polymer does not necessarily mean plastic.
Is there metal in trees?
Some.
So there could be ionic bonds.
There will be some ionic bonds, yes.
I just feel like every time you teach me something, you're like, this is how everything bonds. And then the next week we do it, you're like, so they're just next to each other, but they're not bonded this way. They're just bonded.
Some
Move
of them.
on.
No, because they're those molecules themselves still have covalent bonds within them. Let's think about water, okay?
Oh, yeah, a molecule is different to an atom.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. This is between the molecules, not the atoms.
Yes.
Molecule is the wrong word for a molecule. It needs to be called like a biatom or a triatom or like a atom collective or something.
No.
Yes, because molecule just doesn't mean anything.
Neither does triatom.
But it does. It means like 3 atoms.
But then you'd have to know how many atoms were in each molecule.
No, not necessarily, because you'd just know if it was bi, tri, cry, whatever 4 is, they would be, you'd know what that meant.
It would go up to 4.
Or just it needs a better word than molecule, a multi-atom then.
But the molecules have molecular bonds. It makes sense. But a multi-atom, that's confusing. That makes it seem like molecules are a special, more like atomic there are multiple atoms in ionic substances or metals.
Okay.
Okay. So what I've been building up to here is that when you melt a solid, these bonds that are in between the particles, when they're packed together as a solid, you need to break those bonds. So the stronger those bonds are, the more energy it takes to break them. Therefore, the higher melting/freezing point that substance has. Okay?
Yep, okay.
That makes sense?
Yep.
Cool. So the nature
What
of
determines how strong those bonds are?
the nature of the particles determines what the bonds are and how strong they are.
Okay. What's a particle?
Like an atom or a molecule, essentially.
Okay.
In this. So, we'll run through them, but it is just the properties of those particles that determine it. And yeah, if it's an ionic substance, there's going to be ionic bonds. That has a certain characteristic to it. If it's a metal, there's going to be metallic bonds. That's going to have a certain characteristic. If it's a molecule, that's going to be different again. Okay?
Yep.
Cool beans. So, cool. Cool. So the first one that we are going to look at is ionic compounds. You remember what structure ionic solids form?
Squares.
What's that called? You didn't like it.
Lattices?
Yes. It's called what's it called? A giant ionic lattice, I think they call it when it's a big old substance.
Ooh.
Where is it? Yeah, giant ionic lattices. Okay, so ionic bonds are quite strong, especially when you have so many atoms like that. So so ionic compounds tend to have quite high melting and boiling points. Okay?
Ionic compounds. Okay.
Yeah. So, for example, if you wanted to melt some table salt, that would take a very high temperature to do.
Yes, because they're in cubes.
Yeah, the boiling point... Oh, no, that's the boiling point. The boiling point of salt is about 1,500 degrees Celsius.
Okay, so because it's a lattice, that's lots of connections, strong bonds, lots of energy to break them.
Yes. That makes sense, right?
Yep.
Cool beans. The other thing they want you to know about ionic compounds... because we're moving away from just talking about the melting and boiling and stuff into just the properties of these different things. Sorry, probably should have said that.
What? I was still writing down the last thing.
I was just saying that we're moving away from just talking about things melting and boiling into just the properties of these different types of things, okay?
Okay.
So the other thing that I want you to know about ionic compounds is that if you dissolve them in water, you can then conduct electricity across that water.
Wait. What's that got to do with anything?
We're just talking about ionic compounds now.
What? Why? I don't know what an ionic compound is.
Yes, we do. You do. It's like salt. Just think about salt. It even says in the syllabus that salt is the only one that you need to worry yourself with.
So salt water's electric?
It's conductive, yes.
Okay.
Could you hazard a guess as to why?
Oh, I largely don't care why.
No, so you're just not going to.
I'm trying to think! You stop being so rude while I'm thinking! I thought things were electric because they were socialists with the Ow! Oh! I thought things were electric because they crowdsourced their electrons.
In a sense, yeah. That's why metal is conductive. But what property is it of the electrons that allows that to happen?
Charge.
Yeah. So ions are
Charged.
makes sense, right?
Why are they charged? Oh, Lord, I feel like I'm in a swamp. What is happening? I feel like you're looking at me like this should be so obvious. And I'm sitting here like, what is going on?
Do you remember what ions are?
No. I thought we were talking about molecules.
You know how before we even started this project, we had a conversation about what we would do when we got all the way through the syllabus. I honestly think we could just fucking start again and then just do the same content again.
Honestly. You said honestly. Yeah.
It's a bit like painting the San Francisco Bridge. Like...
I honestly thought I'd be better at it than this. That's what's dawning on me as we get further along this project, is that I thought I'd have to play up being really stupid to make it interesting. But it's all so stupid anyway that none of it makes sense. I don't know what an ion is. Ions are an ion is electric. Electric bonds?
No, you just made that up.
No, I remember that being a thing I've said before. Something about an
You've
iron.
never said that before.
I have. You go back and listen. I fucking have.
No, not electric bonds. Ionic bonds is what it's called.
Isn't it ionic? What are we even trying to do here? What's the point of today's lesson, please?
We're learning about the properties of different materials.
But what is salt? Is that the material we're learning about?
We're learning about ionic compounds, of which table salt is one that you come into 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah, you're lucky. 12 to 15. Yeah, number of ulcers I've got from doing this. Don't really get mouth ulcers from being stressed, do you?
I don't know.
So what am I supposed to be doing? I don't understand. Did you ask me a question?
I asked you what an ion is.
I don't know, Ron. It's salt.
An ion is when an atom has either too many or too few electrons, and therefore it is charged. We've
never talked about that.
We have many times.
No way.
Do you not remember?
What happens to them?
Sodium on its own, 1 electron in its outer ring. What happens when it meets a chlorine that has 1 gap for an electron in its outer ring? It gives its electron to the chlorine. They then form sodium chloride, aka table salt.
Yeah. And then
That's an ionic compound.
I thought that was a molecule.
Don't know.
Because that's
No.
2 things.
No. I just slapped my table in disgust.
Well, I punched my table earlier and my finger hurts and you didn't say, are you okay?
No. An ionic compound. The sodium gives its electron to the chlorine. Then it becomes a sodium plus ion. The chlorine is then a chlorine minus ion because it has too many electrons. 1 is positively charged, 1 is negatively charged, so they are then attracted to each other.
So it's not just the electrons that are attracted to each other, it's the whole atom.
It's the whole ion.
But an ion just means an atom.
No, an ion is an atom that has too many or too few electrons.
Right, I need to write that down. An ion. Okay, I've got that now. So what are we doing?
When you dissolve an ionic compound in water...
What's a compound?
A mixture of stuff.
A molecule.
No.
What's a molecule?
A molecule is when something is covalently bonded together.
Oh, God. What's covalent again?
It's when they share the pair of electrons in between them.
So nobody loses one, but the pair
They share.
gets together. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Start again.
When you dissolve an
Do you know
ionic...
what? Just today, I listed us under science podcasts on Apple Podcasts, and I think I need to go back again and take that out again.
No. Children's podcasts. When you dissolve an ionic compound in water, that water can then conduct an electric current.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah?
Can you think why that might be? That was the question. That's how we got here.
Because it got given 2 sticks and put in front of the electric orchestra.
We're way past jokes, Laura. We're way past jokes.
You do look cross.
Yeah.
Well, because they're charged, because ions have a charge.
Okay, so the positively charged sodium ion in our salt analogy is going to go towards the negative electrode, isn't it?
Yes?
And the negatively charged chlorine...
Can you stop using that tone, please?
Can you retain some information
I
week
am
on week?
trying.
You are trying. Okay, the negatively charged chloride ion is going to go towards the positive anode. Positive electrode, right?
Yeah.
The chlorine...
Only if those nodes are more attractive than they were already to each other.
What?
Well, the sodium and the chloride were attracted to each other.
Yes, yeah. It has to overpower that connection, basically.
Yeah. It's got to be a sexy, sexy little stick.
But the chloride ion has an extra electron, right?
No.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Why would I have said that if it didn't?
Because sometimes you ask me questions.
Yeah, but I never ask you trick questions.
Yes, you do.
Only in the quiz. Anyway, shut up. So the chloride ion goes to the positive
Why is it
electrode.
chloride, not chlorine?
Because that's just what it's called when it's an ion.
Okay.
We've been through this as well.
Okay.
Yeah. All of this is like, these episodes are just going to come increasingly like clip shows from our previous ones. So the chloride ion has an extra electron. When it gets to the positive electrode, it gives that electron to the electrode. Therefore, that is the electric current going across. A flow of electrons, a flow of charge.
Then does it give them back to the sodiums on the other side?
No.
Why not?
Wait, it might actually. Because what happens when you do this is that you get chemical reactions at each of the electrodes. So when you do this with like just table salt in there, you get chlorine gas coming off the positive electrode and you get hydrogen gas coming off of the negative one.
That sounds very dangerous.
Yeah, it's not pleasant. We didn't even. That's just it. That can you hold in your head that when you dissolve an ionic compound in water, it conducts electricity?
I already said yes to that about 15 minutes ago.
All right, cool. We're going to move on now to small molecules, all right?
Small molecules.
Do you know what a molecule is?
No, not really. It's 2 atoms.
No. It can be hundreds and thousands of atoms.
It's some atoms.
It's when they're covalently bonded together.
And covalent.
It's when they share a pair of
an
electrons.
electron.
Share a pair of electrons.
Covalent, like codependent.
Yes.
Codependent atoms is a molecule.
Yes.
Okay. I don't think we need the word molecule. I think we should just call them covalently bonded atoms.
That's longer.
Yeah, but it says what it is.
So does molecule, if you can just remember a definition of something.
I can't, though, because it doesn't mean anything. Molecule. What molecule?
This is like in 1984, where they're just like, oh, let's eliminate all of these words that we don't need.
Yeah, good on them. Well done, 1984. Great idea you've had there, George Orwell. I'm in support.
So we're going to talk about small molecular compounds at the moment, okay?
Sure.
So this is things like water, alcohol, methane, stuff like this. Small molecules. Water is only 3 atoms in a molecule, okay?
Yes.
These things tend to have very low boiling or melting points because intermolecular forces are relatively weak.
Intermolecular forces.
So water molecules.
You can say that without wanting to sing it.
I truly can. When water freezes, water is H2O, right? A hydrogen atom covalently bonded to an oxygen atom, covalently bonded to another hydrogen atom.
Yeah. Ho. H-O-H. Ho.
When that
That's another
freezes,
way of saying it. Ho.
when that
Ho.
end the podcast. I'm out.
You can't get out now. You've signed a contract.
When that freezes, it does
When
not.
did you say when?
No. When that freezes, it does not form covalent bonds in between the different water molecules, okay?
Why not?
Because there's no more electrons for them to share.
What do you mean? What?
I'm not doing the whole go back and listen to the episode where, like, go back and listen to our last chemistry episode.
No. I understand what you mean. The molecules don't covalent to another molecule.
No.
Okay.
There are other forces in between the molecules.
There are other forces at work here, young Padawan.
Exactly, yes.
Okay, so these molecules don't covalent to each other.
Do you have any interest in learning about the forces between these molecules? It's not in the syllabus, but I do know it.
You tell the listeners, and I'll just finish writing up what we've already covered.
Okay. Water molecules have fairly strong dipoles between them because oxygen's...
Dipoles? Dipoles.
Because
I've written down the word frustrating. It's other frustrating. Were you saying the word frustrating?
No.
It's other
It might have
forces.
just been beaming it out of my head. Oxygen molecules have fairly strong dipoles because oxygen is it's a stronger attractive force than a hydrogen atom. So it pulls the pair of electrons that are in between them closer towards the oxygen and gives that end of the molecule a vague negative charge. And therefore it has the molecule itself is a little bit charged on one side and not on the other. Lots of molecules have this, and it affects the boiling point of those molecules. The other thing that they can get is something called van der Waals forces, which is basically all of the electrons are just zipping around the molecule at all times. Sometimes they just happen to all go to one side, or a majority of them goes to one side. This will give the molecule an instantaneous kind of charge on one end of it, and then they'll form very weak bonds together. I'm done.
Hello, I'm back.
Molecules.
Put your hand up if you missed me. Everybody's got their hands up.
Molecules, when you dissolve them in water, they don't conduct electricity. Sorry for burping. I ate a carrot.
Molecules in
don't
water
conduct electricity in water. Oh, God, I burped again. Sorry.
Ugh.
I'm going to say it again so we can cut that out. Molecules don't have an overall charge, so they don't conduct electricity when dissolved in water.
Okay,
cool. Right. Okay.
So, if like when people electrocute themselves in films by putting a toaster in the bath, it's fine as long as it's not salt water.
No.
Why?
There's just kind of always stuff in water. It's very hard to get pure water. Also, depending on how, I might be wrong on this, but I think depending on how strong the also.
You can't see Ron, but he's got his hands on his face, and then just each index finger is covering up an eyebrow, and his eyes are getting smaller and smaller and smaller the longer we record for. He looks really sad.
Yeah, sometimes I do this when I'm stressed.
Why are you stressed, Ron? I've made a page of notes.
Something that I don't really want to get into with you, but is that...
A bath? No, we shouldn't.
Water doesn't always exist just as H2O. Sometimes it's kind of going through a cycle of forming that, but then also breaking up into OH minus and H plus. And that will...
What does that mean?
Well, OH minus, like an oxygen and a hydrogen ion, that's got a negative charge, and then an H plus, and that will conduct electricity.
Why is it doing that?
It just does. Don't worry about it, okay? Just don't worry about it.
I am worried now.
We're going to talk about polymers now, okay?
Plastics!
Plastics are polymers. Not all polymers are plastics.
All polymers matter.
Polymers are very large molecular substances, okay?
Large,
So,
covalently bonded atomic substances.
yep. So the intermolecular forces between them
Intermolecular forces.
are relatively strong, especially compared to small molecules. So they have higher melting and boiling temperatures than small molecules.
Okay.
And like when they get really big, the physical shape of them starts to play in. I think it's like correct that oil, the different fractions of oil is just different lengths of hydrocarbon chains, like different length polymers. Mm-hmm. And the longer they get, the reason why those have much higher boiling temperatures is because they are literally like tangled in together, and then they can't boil off the top because they're kind of knotted up and stuff.
Oh.
The next one we're going to cover giant covalent structures.
Shall I write that down really big?
Yes. I think that should be its own page. Can you think of any giant covalent structures that we've named before, Laura?
No.
So this is things where...
Diamonds.
Exactly, yeah. It's a thing where it is a molecular substance, but then the molecule doesn't like close off, it tessellates. So yeah, that's things like diamond, graphite is another one.
Mainly carbons then.
Yeah, because carbon forms 4 covalent bonds, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially just doing 2 different podcasts simultaneously now. Do you think a giant covalent structure, Laura, would have a high or a low melting point?
A very high.
Why?
Because very lots of bonds in an organised fashion. So you need lots of energy to bust them open.
It's not necessarily about the frequency of the bonds, because there's lots of bonds in between all of them. But we know, you and me...
I thought you were going to say wiener then.
Wiener! We know...
Wiener!
There's a place in Brussels just called Wiener, and the 95 bus goes there. It just says Wiener in massive letters across the front. It's really funny. We know, you and I, after the last episode we did on different types of atomic bonds, that covalent bonds are the strongest type of bond.
Do we?
Yeah, we know that, you and I.
Didn't write it down, sorry. Strongest type.
Yeah.
Because they're sharing.
They're strong.
Strongest type.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, when you melt a giant covalent structure, like if you wanted to melt a diamond, don't question it, it is possible.
Nuh-uh. Diamonds are forever.
No, you could melt a diamond if you got it hot enough.
But that type of heat doesn't exist on planet Earth.
Do you want to see how hot a diamond's melting temperature is?
I do, Ron, I do.
I googled if you could theoretically melt wood, and they reckon yes.
Oh, but you can't.
Diamond melting point. Oh, it's actually not as hot as you'd think.
40 degrees?
700 degrees.
700 degrees?
Yeah.
Celsius or Kelvin?
Celsius.
Do I get points?
Don't try and curry favour by spouting random scientific knowledge that you've picked up like fluff off a carpet.
I thought that was the whole point of this podcast, was to curry favour by picking up spouted knowledge.
No, pick up structured and layered knowledge that accumulates, not just fucking pocket lint that will get brushed off and replaced by something else next week.
Yeah.
Anyway, covalent bonds are strong. When you melt a diamond, you have to break all of those different covalent bonds.
Yeah.
So that takes a lot of energy.
It leaves a lot of trauma left behind in the carbon atoms as well.
It does. The next one we're going to do is metals.
Metals.
You can remember the structure of metals.
Metals are socialists. Is there 1 T or 2 T's in metals? I've written that down and it doesn't look right.
How many have you put in there?
3. No, I put 2, but it doesn't look right. I'm going to go for 1.
That's not right.
Still. Metallic bonds.
How have you spelt it? METTLE?
Yeah.
Really?
That's not right, is it?
No, it's metal.
Yeah, it's like petals.
Jeez.
What's test your metals then? That's spelt metal. METTLE.
That's nothing.
No, it is. Test your metal. It's spelt like METTLE. You look so annoyed, but I'm right. I know words.
A metal, spelt like that, literally is a person's ability to cope well with difficulties.
Yeah, test your metal. I know words, Ron. I don't know science, but I do know words. Huh. Metallic bonds just carpool their electrons. Crowdsource them. They're just all loosey-goosey.
Yeah, they pool their electrons.
Yeah, they're allowed to take what they need.
Yeah. Obviously, that's quite a good way of bonding. So metals tend to have quite high melting points, but as we discussed before, like sodium metals and group 1 metals, those tend to have lower melting points because they've only got one electron on the outer ring that they share, so the bonds are weaker. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bit vacant. That made sense. They have fewer electrons in the outer...
Yes! Oh my God, you are like the tone police. I'm not even allowed to just understand it. I have to understand it exactly in the right sound.
But I just didn't trust that you did understand it. Because quite often, 45 minutes in, you start just saying, yeah.
Well, I do think the episode should be shorter.
It's not me that's holding us up. Anyway, pure metals, the atoms are in layers.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then which is why metals can be sort of shaped and bent and stuff. Pure metals.
They don't snap.
Yeah, because the layers, when you bend, the layers slide over each other.
Whoa.
So... when you then start making alloys or do things like introduce carbon into iron to make steel, you are kind of breaking up those layers. So the layers can't slide over each other because there are bigger or smaller atoms kind of creating friction. And that's why alloys or steel and stuff like that, or carbonized metals, are harder and stronger.
More bonds.
That's not what I said at all.
What do you want me to say?
No, that's it. That's the episode. We're done.
Right. Well done, Ron.
I thought it was going to be a nice one.
It was nice, wasn't it? I had a nice time. I've made loads of notes.
I thought that might make you care because, that metals can be shaped and this explains why.
Yeah, a bit. I think the problem was, because we started talking about wood, I've just been thinking about wood for quite a lot of that episode. Now I don't really believe in trees. What is a tree? Okay, listen, Ron, I'm sorry that stressed you out and made you sad. But I'm going to smash this quiz, so we'll play a jingle and we'll be back with the quiz.
See you next week for the quiz.
Except it'll be in a second. We're back, and it's been more than a week. It's been
a couple.
It's been a couple of weeks, so I don't feel good about my chances here.
And I don't know about you, but it's been weeks to me. Like, it feels like it's been years since we last recorded.
Yeah, it's been years, and we've released quite a few episodes because we're now into the releasing, which we haven't been for previous episodes. So I feel super familiar with what we did in the first few episodes. I'm like, I really understand what an organelle is. Sort of forgetting that the lessons are still going on because I was like, we're releasing them now. It doesn't matter, but... Here I am, back to Idiot Town.
And you hear those episodes, and then you do realise quite how far we've progressed as well.
Do you feel like that? Because I do not.
Well, no, I guess it makes a difference if it's not going in.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm just flicking through to my notes, and I have written covalent structures in massive writing. So I'm assuming that's what we were doing.
I mean, that was a small part of what we did, yes.
Oh, why did I write it so bad then? All right, Ron, hit me with a quiz.
Cool beans. So, chemistry something quiz. Here we go. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh, it's
8,
Ron's counting.
9
My favourite part of
points.
the episodes. 9 points. Okay.
Laura, for 3 points.
Oh, shit.
Using particle theory, please explain the difference between a solid, a liquid, and a gas.
What do you mean using particle theory?
Using particle theory as the backdrop for your explanation.
What's particle theory? Is that what we did last time?
It's a concept that we went through, yeah.
I haven't written that down anywhere in my notes.
Well, we must not have covered it then.
Shut up. Well, okay, I'm going to ignore the bit about particle theory because I don't know what you're talking about with that. But my explanation, as I understand it, of solid, a freezing, and a gas is when you
Sorry,
have.
say that again?
What did I say?
A solid, a freezing, and a gas.
Did I? Well, it's because I'm confused and I said the wrong word. A solid. A metal? No, what am I talking about? A solid, a liquid. Oh my God. A solid, a liquid, and a gas. That's not
Fuck
good.
me.
A solid, a liquid, and a gas. I know what I mean. Shut up, please. It's about how much energy. Oh, maybe this is particle theory. It's about how much energy the particles have. So, a solid has bonds making it stick together. And then the more energy you put into that, the more, I don't know, like they vibrate or they break their bonds and they whiz about, so they become a liquid, they're all sloshy. And then even more, they, I don't know, break even more bonds and become a gas and move even further apart from each other.
I'm going to give you 2 out of 3 for that.
And that ain't bad.
No, that's pretty damn good, actually. You surprised me there. Yeah, so particle theory is basically thinking about these... it's basically simplifying it. So thinking about these things as, like, you know, point, like, orbs, rather than considering the fact that, like, a molecule is going to be a larger structure. What are you looking at? What do you keep glancing at?
A grape.
Okay, eat the grape.
No, I don't want to eat this grape. It's a bit of a skanky grape.
Okay,
but
feed it to Mackie.
no, dogs can't have grapes.
Okay.
That's some science I've taught you. I'll stop looking at it. It's because I'm not in my office. I'm downstairs because Tom's away, so I can go where I like.
Yeah, so that's just a way of simplifying things, right?
What was?
Particle theory.
The thing I explained very eloquently.
Yeah, so just particle theory is a way of simplifying it. So rather than thinking about all the facets of the particle that we're thinking, we're just considering them as little spheres, okay?
Yeah.
And then in a solid, they're tightly packed together and they're bonded together in a structure.
Yes. A
Yep.
lattice.
Sometimes.
Yes.
And then in a liquid, those bonds are broken, but they're still tightly packed together. Like, you can't compress a liquid. There's no gaps in between all of the molecules.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
So, or all of the particles, rather. So, and then a gas is when all of those bonds are broken and there's so much energy that they are whizzing about.
Whizzy!
So,
Yes.
There's a point for in a solid, tightly packed, bonded together. In a liquid, tightly packed, but the bonds are broken, so they can move around and slide past each other. And then a gas, they have so much energy that they're vibrating, and there's gaps in between them, and there are no bonds.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
Why didn't I get 3 marks then? I said all of that.
You said all of that, but in fragments and shuffled and remixed. And yeah, so you only got 2 out of 3 because you kind of did a word salad.
All right, I'm happy with that. That's fine. That's more points than I've got in whole quizzes before. It's fine.
Okay, right. So the next one, 1 point for each of these. What is holding these solid materials together? Okay? So, ice. What is holding ice together? maybe you want to say, like, what type of structure ice is. What's it made out of?
Water?
Yep, and what type of particle is water?
H2O!
Yep, that's what it is, but what is H2O? How is H2O made?
It's not made. It's a molecule?
Yep, okay. It's a small molecule. So how...
I've written small molecule as well. I didn't say the small because I wondered if I was meant to write that.
Yeah, it does seem like you've just kind of written down the titles of each section that we've talked about last time. I imagine that's why you've written covalent structure and huge writing, because we also talked about large covalent structures.
Well, I've just noticed I've written the word giant, very small, next to covalent structures.
That's some
so hang on, I'm just going to read my notes out then.
Word art that you're seeing there, Laura. Well done.
So hang on, I have written down, this might be the answer, water is a covalent bond.
There's a covalent bond in between the hydrogens and the oxygen of the water, but it wouldn't be... Is it covalent bonds in between?
Oh, no. Hang on. If I read further down the notes,
Jesus fucking Christ.
It says molecules don't covalent to each other. It's other forces at work between the molecules. Then I've crossed out the word frustrating.
I don't know if we've talked much about it on the show, but fans may or may not be aware that Laura and I are both quite big fans of the game Magic the Gathering.
Yep.
However, it's quite hard to play Magic the Gathering with Laura because so often she does something and then you realise that she's just stopped reading the card halfway through. And you've just seen that, but in a different context.
I'm bad. I just read a little bit, and then whatever that was distracts me. So it's really hard to carry on reading the rest of it. You
read it until the slightest whiff of dopamine has hit your brain, and then you just give up.
Yeah, it's not give up. I just do something else then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think I know the answer to that actually, because that's the end of my page, and then the next thing says polymers. Well, I think I've moved on.
You have moved on.
So they're not covalent to each other. So I don't really know how they're bonded to each other. I don't think we talked about it.
So that is true. They're not covalently bonded to each other. That would be a giant covalent structure like a diamond or graphene or something like that. All you needed to say was...
Do you feel extra patient today? This bodes well for the lesson we're going to do after this quiz.
Oh. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I think I quite like talking about this stuff. So all I was looking for is intermolecular forces.
Intermolecular forces. I bet I did that last time, didn't I?
Yeah.
I got halfway through that and wanted to do that. Right. I've written forces at work between the molecules.
Well, that's a rephrasing.
Yeah, intermolecular.
You'd have gotten a bonus point for saying van der Waals, or the fact that ice or water molecules have an inherent dipole.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, how is the solid material of tin held together?
A metallic bond.
Yes, point.
Yes.
That's how easy these should be.
Yes.
And what about diamond?
Covalent bond.
Ding, point. Well done.
Carbons, all holding hands. Peace and love in our time.
Yeah, you guys were talking about that on Years and Years recently.
Yes. I'm just bleeding my information from this podcast through into Years and Years.
I don't know, it's very funny. Okay, the next one, we're going to do true or false about ionic compounds, okay?
All right.
Okay, so true or false, ionic compounds have low melting points.
Nope, that is a picture of some lungs. Ionic compounds have high melting and boiling points, actually, Ronald.
So, are you saying false?
Yes, I am. False, thank you. Sorry, I forgot it was true or false.
Okay, true or false, they conduct electricity when dissolved in water.
written down intermolecular forces. True. Oh, I've written salt water is conductive anyway, so maybe that means I should have written down something else.
That is
But
true.
I'm going to assume that is an example, and I should have written down whatever it was. Intermolecular compounds conduct water.
That's some good reasoning there, Laura. Well done.
I
Yes.
don't patronise me. I know how to reason stuff. I'm a smart woman. I just don't care about any
yourself.
of this. I don't apply myself to this, no.
But yes, ding. Another point for ye.
Yes. Are you counting how many points I've got?
Yeah, 2 out of 3, then 2 out of 3, and 2 out of 3 so far.
Woohoo!
Okay, the last one. Ionic compounds only dissolve in wet water. They do not react with dry water or steam.
It feels like I'd have got mad at the idea of dry water last week. So I'm going to try not to do that right now. Even though everything you've just said sounds like bullshit. Have you ever seen the film 50 First Dates?
Yes, I have.
Sometimes this podcast feels like doing that, where you're telling me about something and I'm like, and we did this yesterday?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have the patience of an Adam Sandler type.
Oh, no. And I'm no Drew Barrymore. Listen, I don't know, so I'm just gonna, let me see. Ion is an atom that has a charge, brackets too many or too few electrons. Small molecules. Melting is opposite to freezing. Why did I need to write that down?
That did blow your mind a couple of weeks ago.
It's like something you should just know, Laura. Don't write that down. Do you know what? I haven't made any notes on this, so I'm going to say false.
I mean, I made up dry water and...
Ah!
It-
So I could have got mad about it.
Yeah, it dissolves in all types of water, I think.
So am I right or wrong?
I'm going to say you're wrong.
Ah! I thought, no, you said it didn't react to...
I said, yeah, but dry water doesn't exist, so it's fine.
That is rude.
I wanted to test out how much you believe.
Well, you are rude. So I got 6 out of 9.
Yes, 6 out of 9. So, you finished the episode, you didn't.
We'll finish it nearer the time.
Okay. Class dismissed.
Well, 2/3 are on. Pretty cool.
Pretty cool. 2/3. What? Are we
The
recording?
quiz. Yeah.
Oh!
See, we spend the whole episode looking at how absolute trash I am at science, but I am a marvel of broadcasting.
Yeah. That's the premise.
Yeah, I just want people to understand I've got skills. They're
That's
just not seeing
that's like watching an episode of Taskmaster and being like, well, we spend the whole thing watching people mess up, but isn't it clever? Yeah, that's the thing.
I just want people to know that I'm loved. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Has anyone ever melted wood? That is my question of the week. Ever melted a wood? No euphemisms?
Yeah.
We want to hear
Rude.
from you. Ron doesn't want to say anything.
Text us on... no, you go. I'm bad at
What's
this.
happening over
I'm
there?
so tired.
But this is why I make us notes. Anyway, okay, so yeah, as we said at the top, still a couple of hats on sale if you want a baseball cap. Pop over to my coffee page, ko-fi.com/Laura Lexx /shop. Also, I wanted to say, anybody that wants a little extra Laura Lexx time every week, my book club has restarted every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. on YouTube. You can join me for a live reading of a brand new book that I'm writing to order based on your votes. The first episode is live now, so you can go and seek that out and watch it. And then episode 2 will start on Tuesday, so you'll see a lot of the lab rats in the comments. And if you want some company on a Tuesday night from the safety of your own home, that is absolutely free, then join me on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. We'll be back next week with it's physics.
Oh yeah,
that's horrible, because that means next week is physics and we're about to record physics.
Double physics.
All right, well listen, and we need a 2-week special of your catchphrase, Ron.
Class dismissed.